When you came down from Oxford, did you have to earn a living at once?
Not at once. It was gradually borne in on me. I always wanted to be a painter, and I went to an art school for a time.
But then your father was paying for you.
Oh, yes. And then, of course, the bills were beginning to come in. And eventually there was a kind of debt settlement in which I revealed the state of my indebtedness. It wouldn't seem very much now, but it's quite a lot then. £400 or £500, I think. And so he paid him on condition I earned my living. And I went to the prep schoolmaster, which was the sort of resort for the criminal classes of those days.
And out of which, presumably, decline and fall eventually
very remotely
emerged, yes. Did you get, was decline and fall a financial success?
Still is.
Yes, but was it at that time?
Not in the sense that I was immediately rich. It was brought in some money.
I mean, the point is, how old were you when you were first conscious that you could earn a decent living by writing?
I should think 25.
Was that with the... No, that was probably before the publication of Vile Bodies.
Oh, yes. My memory is awfully bad for dates. I wrote a book on Rossetti when I was, I suppose, 23. And then this novel, which had sort of succès d'estime. And that brought in commissions for articles and things.
Yes, quite. Now, how old were you when you were converted to the Catholic faith?
I think 30.
Had you studied for a long time before your conversion?
I was literally under instruction, for about 3 months. But of course I'd interested myself in it before reading books independently and so on.
I'm quite interested to ask you, because it isn't clear from the book, whether you were almost a Catholic at the time you were writing Vile Bodies.
Not at all. No. I was as near an atheist as one could be, I think, at that time.
Is there, I hope not an impertinent question, is there any connection in your own mind between Father Rothschild in that book and Father Darcy, who afterwards received
No. No, it's a pure literary convention. I mean, the sly Jesuit has been going on in English novels for 200 years.
Nevertheless, what is a little unexpected, perhaps, in Vile Bodies is what appears to be your obvious sympathy with the sly Jesuit.
I'm surprised you find that. I hadn't any such fit at the time.
Did you have a sudden revelation which led you to this conversion, or was it a very gradual process?
Well, I think I'd always, when I say always, from the age of 16 or so, realized that Catholicism was Christianity, that all other forms of Christianity were only good so far as they chipped little bits off the main block. It is a conversion to Christianity rather than a conversion to Catholicism, essentially.
Well, this is the point I wanted to bring out. This came after a period when you had lost your faith and you regained it in the Catholic Church. You hadn't been continuously a devout and practicing Christian who moved over to Rome.
No. I think from the age of 16 to the age of 28, I didn't go to church at all, I remember.
Since you were received into the Catholic Church, have you ever seriously doubted?
No.
Never been through a period when things have been difficult for you. Looking back now...
Well, it's very difficult. I mean, exasperation at the extraordinary behavior of individual clergymen.
Yes, but no, you've never doubted the central canon of your faith, no. Looking back now, what would you say is the greatest gift in terms of tranquility or peace of mind or whatever that your faith has given you?
Well, it isn't a sort of lucky dip which you get something out of, you know. It's hard without using pietistic language to explain, but it's simply admitting the existence of God, your dependence on God, your contact with God, the fact that everything in the world that's good depends on Him. It isn't sort of added amenity of the welfare state that you say, well, to all this, having made a good income, now I have this little icing on top of religion. It's the essence of the whole thing.
You say all that is good in the world comes from God. You don't seem to find very much which is good in the modern world. You've seen it consistently as a decadent world, have you not?
But there's good in a decadent world.
Yes, But your purpose in life is, what, to castigate or to chronicle the decadent world? Do you see a purpose in your books? Are you trying to scourge us into reform?
Oh, no. No, I'm just trying to write books.
Yes, but nonetheless, no one who is as intellectually coherent as you are can write books even just as finished, polished objects without having a certain purpose in mind, I suspect.
Quite unconscious. It wouldn't occur to him to sit down and say, I will now write a book to reveal the horrors of the gangs in this district or something like that.
No, I'm sure of that. But now, for instance, recently you said that in your next book you're going to deal with Crouchback's realization that no good comes from public causes but only private causes of the spirit. Now, this seems to me to be a didactic theme which the novelist is perfectly entitled to take, and I wonder when that first came to you.
Oh, I think always. I never believed in public causes.
But you see, in your earlier books, I would have said the characterization was perhaps not profound enough to reveal the private causes of the spirit.
No, that's quite true. But you certainly wouldn't say they revealed any public causes, would you?
No, I wouldn't indeed. What is your favorite book?
One called Helena. No one's ever read. It's awfully good.
Well, why? Tell me why you like that best.
Well, it's just much the best, you know. It's the best written, most interesting theme.
What in particular fascinated you about Helena? She's an unusual saint.
Yes, that's one of the fascinating things. You see, practically nothing's known about her.
Catholicism in your books does seem very much to be equated with the aristocratic life and so on. I wonder, would you be equally interested in writing a book about the little flower, some Irish peasant saint, for instance, or a really humble...
It wasn't about her sanctity I was writing, it was about the conditions of 4th century Rome, you see. She happened to be the empress. It wasn't the fact of her rank that made her interesting. It was the fact of her finding the true cross made her interesting.
Is humility...
If I might continue, the fact of the true cross was that there was an actual piece of wood, a historical fact, behind the gospel. Whether or not the wood she found was the cross, open to doubt. But at that time, all those Asiatic cults, but Gnostics and people, were trying to etherealize and symbolize and fine away the simple facts of an actual crucifixion on a piece of wood. And she I represented as being a simple English gal thrown greatly to her disgust into the imperial life, not the least enjoying the high position, and putting her finger at once on what was wrong with imperial Rome at that time, which is they were losing the sense of actuality. That you might indeed say was a didactic book.
Yes. I was going to put this to you, because what you've just been saying is highly didactic. Could I ask you some questions now about Pinfold? The question that everybody broadly wants to ask you is how far Pinfold is an account of your own brief illness?
Almost exact. In fact, had we cut down a lot, it would be infinitely tedious to have recorded everything. It's the account of 3 weeks' hallucinations going on absolutely continuously.
And you heard voices?
I heard all these voices. If I had written down everything the voices said, it would be immensely boring. One had to be selective.
But did they say the same thing to you that they said to Pinfold?
Oh, yes, rather. Again and again and again, day and night.
And there were 3 different kinds of voices, really, who talked to Pinfold. There was the beautiful girl who made appointments with him.
They gradually thinned down, if you remember the book. At first, I conceived that everyone was involved. I was rationalizing it all the time. It wasn't the least like losing one's reason. It was simply one's reason working hard, but on the wrong premises.
Yes. But I wonder why the voices said what they did. I mean, have you any notion why you should conjure up this lovely girl who made appointments with you?
No, that I've always wondered.
And you never kept the appointment?
Half did.
Yes.
You remember the story? Went out to look for her and she wasn't there.
And then the most odious voices said that Pinfold was a homosexual, a communist Jew, a parvenu, and so on. Were these the kind of hallucinations that you yourself felt?
Oh, yes, these were those voices, exactly.